For the first time in a long time, what is up, guys? AZ Sports Guy here, and let's do a Q&A. It's been almost a year since the relocation. I put out a tweet that I actually sent out to other hockey tubers, trying to get it as big as possible, essentially saying, hey, it's been almost a year since life in Arizona started to suck. Let's do a Q&A. You can ask any question. Yes, including how does it feel to lose your NHL team. I had a whole gimmick and joke I was going to do where every time someone asked it, I would give a more detailed answer. No one did, so in short, it sucks. I really thought that would be a funny little gimmick, but it never ended up happening. And I ended up losing all the questions because I went to delete the quote tweet that said, I'm keeping this up until Monday. I actually deleted the main tweet, so I had to spend about 10-15 minutes looking up people's profiles to get these screenshots. But I have about 8 questions. Let's go ahead and jump into it. The first question was one that I purposefully did not get a screenshot for because it's a little negative and I don't want to throw the username out there. So it was essentially, when are we going to stop talking about 2.0? They're not coming back. Like, do you really think they're coming back? Even one of the most recent videos I posted on Jacobson Sports Network, my dad asked me, do you really believe what you said? Yeah, I do genuinely believe that. I don't make a habit of saying things I do not believe. The last time I said something blatantly I did not believe was way back during the Dylan Strome trade, where I was mad about them trading Dylan Strome, and I tried to make it about Brendan Perlini. And I've been very honest about that, because you know what? When you aren't honest and you make mistakes and you say things that you shouldn't say, you should own up to it. So I do genuinely believe that. They're coming back. Gary Bettman, who famously in the Morello press conference said that, there was nothing to talk about, there was nothing that was final, nothing was done. They couldn't tell their employees that they were trying to sell the team. They weren't allowed to tell the employees, which I still think the employees there deserve so much better than the treatment they got. But even that man has been very open, even since Morello signed away his rights, that the NHL is coming back to this market at some point. They're looking at it. They want to be here. We know they want to be here. The Board of Governors, the NHL, the league, the players, they did not want to leave Arizona. They just could not take that risk of having Alex Morello, who was not going to get the job done, have them playing in a college arena for the next decade. That couldn't happen. If it was 4, maybe even 5 years, they would still be here. If Morello genuinely could have got that arena done, they'd be playing in a college arena, and they'd be doing it for between 4 and maybe even upwards of 6 years. That'd be stretching it a lot, but they would still be here because they want this market. They are coming back. I genuinely believe that. It just depends on when. I'm still saying 5 to 7 years, which as of right now would be 4 to 6 because it's almost a full year. But we're going to have to just kind of wait and see. I do genuinely believe, though, they are coming back. Tim Delmonico asks, do you and other Yotes fans support Utah, at least temporarily? The players' hands were forced. Would you be in support for an expansion franchise in Arizona? For the second question, of course, I am 100% on the Yotes 2.0 train. I was prepared to be 100% on board for that 3-on-3 hockey thing if that would have ever happened, and that ended up not happening. I want hockey back. And while I might partake in some jokes and think some jokes are funny, I only want a team via expansion. I want my franchise, which the Coyotes are still an NHL franchise, they're just deactivated. I want my franchise reactivated. I want our history. I want our banners hanging up in that building. I don't want a relocation. So I am 110%, 120% in support for that expansion team. As for the first question, I will try my best to be a little more fair and kind of generic, I guess. Yes and no. So I do not personally support Utah. I never will. I don't hate Utah. The market's a little mucky for me now because years ago, me and Blues Fan Reacts, me and Mason went to a Grizzlies game, and I thought hockey could work here, and I wanted them to get a team. I just didn't want them to get my team. That market's kind of ruined for me a little bit, and even like I'm a big, I like dinosaur fossils and nerdy shit like that. And yeah, I can't even like muster up the interest to go there and check out more history museums and fossils and whatnot because it's kind of ruined for me. I can never support Utah. There is no, I do not wish ill on the players, on the fans. There's only one person I hate in Utah, and that person has a 5-letter last name. That is it. And even then, I'm not going to wish ill. I just don't like the guy. As for other Coyotes fans, I'm noticing mostly people that were born and raised here, which is a smaller number, tend to either, I'm not watching the NHL at all, or they've kind of slowly started to adopt Vegas. Other teams, it's being a very transient market. Other people have been picking up their old teams, and a lot of those, like maybe half to a third of those are supporting Utah. There are some that support Utah, but I would say it's mostly people that are either in the category of reverting to an old team or not watching hockey at all and watching, Vegas adopting the new team versus Utah, but that's also a little stacked. So that's what I have noticed. No, I do not personally cheer for Utah. I never will, but I do wish Josh Doan and other players that I was a fan of the best. Jack Logan Smith says, how do you feel about the attempts by NHL franchises to reach out and run fan events in Arizona within the last 12 months? I have only noticed one team do it, so if another team has done it and I missed it, please correct me in the comments. I've only noticed Vegas do it. They've had a couple of youth clinics, a couple of watch parties, and I really love what they're doing. When they were announced as an expansion team, I support Desert Hockey. Yes, I'm an Arizona fan first and foremost, but I support Desert Hockey. I welcome them with open arms because more Desert Hockey is better, and the more traditional hockey fans that are angry by a team being down here in that Sun Belt, the better, because hockey works here and I'll always support it. So I appreciate Vegas. I love how they're actually putting their money where their mouth is. I love how they're trying to keep youth hockey going here, and I do fear if it takes too long for the Coyotes to come back, you might run into a thing where a generation of kids are Vegas fans and you're not going to get them to adopt the new Coyotes team. I do have that concern a little bit, but that's thinking a little too far ahead. I appreciate what's going on. The only other NHL team that I know openly wants Arizona's money, was running billboards here to watch their games. Games are accessible here. Has not done anything to reach out to the community, just basically asked, hey, you want to watch our games and buy our stuff? And no, I don't support them or like them, but I'm not going to name them. So I appreciate Vegas. I'm going to stick to the positives here, and hopefully one day I'll get to go out there and cover a Vegas game. Desert Dog talks about how he's rooting for Utah because he wants to watch this team that Bill Armstrong is building, that he's been watching since Arizona, and he mentions that if the team returns to the Valley, he hopes they don't call them the Coyotes because the name is synonymous with failure. I'm going to change that into the question, do you think they will be called the Coyotes, or do you want them to be called the Coyotes? Yes, I do want them to be called the Coyotes because I'm a Coyotes fan. It'll feel weird otherwise, and I think that guys like Shane Doan sacrifice too much to not have still be the Coyotes. I feel very strongly about that, and this logo right here is synonymous with me for happiness, which is funny because they mostly lost in this logo, but with this logo they did go to the Western Conference Finals in 2012, and there's that. But I am preemptively, like, my nephew, we were at the zoo and they have like those generic like animals in the lights. I saw a coyote. I'm like, you boo this. You see this, you boo. Don't let it hurt you like I let it hurt me. But I do want them to be called the Coyotes. There is an argument, and I do legitimately have talked to enough people. I legitimately believe there is an argument that with how these terrible ownership groups, from Elman to Moyes to, what was it? It was Ice Arizona, that was kind of a bunch of older frat guys, to Barraway, to Morello. The Coyotes brand has been damaged, and I think there is an argument potentially beyond repair. However, I don't actually think that this cannot be salvaged, and I would prefer them to be the Coyotes. I want them to be the Phoenix Coyotes again, and you know what? You're going to use the Kachina, but I would love this logo to be featured on a third jersey, or at least sell some hats with it, please. William Bristow said, I started being a Flyers fan years ago with Roenick and Briere. Do you follow a new team or do you follow players and are a free agent fan? Going into the season, I chose to follow Winnipeg and Vegas. Winnipeg, obviously, because I spent years cheering for the Winnipeg Jets Phoenix Coyotes franchise. I was there for, I think it was the Bobby Hull night. Whoever was number 10, might have been Dale Hawerchuk. It was years ago. I was a kid, and I'm a Coyotes fan. But I did spend some years cheering for the Jets Coyotes franchise. The Jets just felt more natural. I also liked Atlanta growing up. And also Vegas, they're Desert Hockey. I'm going to support Desert Hockey. It is what it is. I don't really care. I spent some time kind of cowering from it a little bit because a lot of Coyotes fans hate Vegas. Frankly, that was stupid to do. I'm not a Vegas fan per se. I did genuinely have issues. Like, after the Marc-Andre Fleury thing, I genuinely could not look at them the same for about 6 or 7 months. It took a while for me to get over that. So, I've had some spats with it, but I do support Desert Hockey, and I like what Vegas is doing overall by trying to give their fans a winning product constantly, and I feel like if Coyotes fans had an ownership group like that, we'd be in a much better position, and we wouldn't have ever had to play in a college arena. Let's say what it is, we would never be in that position with competent ownership. But with that being said, I've only watched maybe 4 games this year, mostly Vegas games when they're on the TV. I watched one with my dad, I think a month ago now. I feel weird, and it actually came up when I was covering an Ottawa University baseball game this weekend, that, asked, hey, are you you're a free agent then. No, my team's asleep. My team's taking a nap. So I kind of realized a few months into the season, the reason I couldn't get into it is my team still exists. The Coyotes are still a team. They're just inactive. And the best way to describe it is I'm a deactivated fan. I do root for Josh Noan. I've been covering the Roadrunners for Jacobson Sports Network, my own outlet. I do root for players. I will watch hockey when it's on and I'm in the mood for it, but for the most part, that is the best way to describe me. I am a deactivated fan. Daryl Boyer asks, which of the current Roadrunners has the best shot at a productive NHL career? There are 3 players that immediately come to mind for me. I'll go in no particular order. I'll go with Cameron Hebig, who did recently sign a contract. He is now Mr. Tucson. He's been in Tucson for a while. He's not a rookie. He is not, he would be an NHL rookie, I guess, but he is not a prospect age player. He's growing into a fine young man and a leader on the team. I'm kind of stealing some quotes from Steve Pop in there. But he's really put in a lot of work, and I think he can be a productive fourth liner on an NHL team. And with that contract he just signed, I can see it happening. So I want to throw his name out there. I do want to mention Maximilian Zuber. He reminds me a lot of like a JJ Moser, Zbigniew McCulloch type, just kind of focusing on him when he's out there. He'll disappear a little bit defensively, which is a good thing. That means he's doing his job right. But when you actually watch him and you're focusing on him, you can see that hockey IQ, that body positioning. He really knows where to be on the ice. And I like that defensive awareness. The hockey IQ is really improving. The positioning, I think he could be a legitimately good defensive defenseman. I do notice, I asked Coach Potvin about it. He said that, he hasn't noticed that himself. It's not a thing that the coaches are telling him not to shoot. I have noticed him being a little apprehensive to shoot. His shot is decent when he does shoot it. I'm going to lean on he'll be a defensive defenseman. But should he choose to kind of work on that two-way game, there could be a little bit of two-way upside there. I think he has the highest potential. And then I want to mention Sam Lipkin, who this year is a double-digit scorer. He's doing everything you need. He can be a really productive bottom sixer, kind of what I always thought he would be, but it's good to actually see that progression. So those are the first 3 guys that come to mind immediately. Obviously, a guy like Villalta, I think probably should be an NHL backup. He is good enough. And Stauber, there's something there. I think his game has improved decent enough. I have not watched enough to give a more definitive opinion. So I will kind of leave that there. But those are the ones that I believe will have the most productive NHL careers or have the highest likelihoods of making it to be NHL players and stay in the NHL. Bob McClay said, I remember after the WHA Phoenix Roadrunners folded in the mid-70s, it took about 21 years for Major League Hockey to return to Phoenix. I am 68 years old. Will Phoenix get another NHL team in my lifetime? And that is a question. The average life expectancy for men in the United States is, I want to say it's 77. I still think we're on a 5 to 7 year timeline. So again, right now with a year past, 4 to 6, I think you'll be alive. As long as you eat right, you're getting some exercise, I think you'll be here. But I also understand the perspective because I do believe this individual also commented in other parts that he does support Utah. I can't blame people like that they invested in this team and they don't 100% know when they're coming back and if they'll be here when they come back. I understand wanting to still watch hockey, but I do genuinely believe they will be back in your lifetime. It just depends on, how much time is left. The GOAT, Kyle Pereira, asks, are you rooting for JJ Moser? I need to put some context here. The reason I was as educated as I was on prospects was after every single draft class for the Coyotes, me and Kyle would make a video together. And he's a scout. He's a really good hockey writer. I could not compliment Kyle Pereira enough. Please check out, he has all of his links via his Twitter. I retweet his articles out sometimes. There's a really massive project he did a couple years ago about prospects and ice time versus coaching style versus line mates and, what did what and what was best for prospect development. This guy he's ridiculously talented. He is good at what he does. Check him out. Short answer, yes, I am rooting for JJ Moser. I'm glad that he was no longer on Utah because it makes it a lot easier to root for him and Connor Geeky when they're not playing for a team that is kind of ruined for me. So, hey, they're playing in Tampa Bay. I can get behind Tampa a little bit. Those Florida, those Sun Belt teams, those Stanley Cup champion teams that have won cups and Canadian teams haven't, I can support them. Buck asks, what do you believe cursed this state's sports teams? People don't know, and I've been holding on to this information as long as I possibly can because I planned on making Roadrunners videos and history videos and championship videos, but we have multiple hockey championships in the state of Arizona, from the Sun Dogs to the Roadrunners to the Mustangs. You probably don't even know who the Mustangs are. We have multiple championships. We also have that World Series. I think if I'm going to be a conspiracy theorist, us selling our souls to get a World Series within the first 5 years probably didn't help. Because let's be honest here, we bought that World Series. We were paying those players back for how long? That was a purchased World Series. I'm not angry about that because it's the only major championship, but that could be an aspect. But in reality, what's actually going on, we have consistently had terrible ownership. From Sarver to Bidwell to Moyes to Barroway to Elman to Morello. You're noticing a common denominator here. We've mostly had terrible ownership groups that take this city that is, they're in the top 10 in terms of size, TV market, all of that in the United States. Massive market, and keep running us like a small market team. All of our teams operate, except for this, maybe the Suns, all of our teams operate like we are in a small market, and it confuses me because this should be considered a massive market. One of the things that Alex Morello said that was the most true thing he ever said in that post-game, in that post-sale press conference, where he said he genuinely believes that Arizona could be top 10 in league revenues. They can. Look at the market size. Look at in 2021, when the Suns made the finals, how the Valley rallied around them. In 2023, when the D-backs made the World Series. In 2009? Oh my god, Nick Pinkerton's rubbing off on me. I'm saying 20 instead of 2000. In Super Bowl 43, I forget what year it was. I think it was the year after the Giants won in Glendale. Super Bowl 43, when they made it to the Super Bowl, they had that game until the defense collapsed and they stopped. Yes, that I don't agree with that catch either, but there were other factors that led to that moment as well. We're cursed because bad ownership. We don't have the strongest fan bases because the owners never capitalize. They never actually put a winning product, a consistent winning product. And the Suns are the closest thing to, they'll make the playoffs year after year in the D'Antoni era, and then didn't make the playoffs for like, what was it, a decade? And then we go to the finals in our first attempt back in the playoffs, and then nothing. It's second round, first round exits, not even making the playoffs this year, because as good as Matt Ishbia has been, building the Mercury new facilities, trying to get Kevin Durant in the first, I do not mind the idea of getting Kevin Durant. But when our owners are consistently not running things properly, or not spending, or getting too involved, or not hiring the right people, I think it curses us because we can't put together a good, solid product. Last question. Stressful Gengar asks, what has filled your life since the Yotes left? Other than clinical depression, that is. Hedgehogs, cartoon sharks, and cardboard. I got back into trade. I have props, yes. I got back into trading card games, primarily Magic, playing Commander. And I have a Godzilla deck. I have a Kaisar dog meat. I'm building a Mr. House. I have an Ezio deck that just came in. University Beyond has been great. I actually given me a reason to play the game again. I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals with the boys. As you could tell, I am a Jeff main because I like healing the team, even though y'all suck at DPS. So I established Jacobson Sports Network. I needed to get away from the AZ Sports Guy branding because I was getting way too shit posty. I was getting away from being professional, and if I want to actually have a future in covering sports, I had to do something different. I had to make it sound professional. I established this, and the games and stuff I've gotten to cover in the last year, being credentialed for AHL, for the ASHA tournament, for college baseball. It's Ottawa University, Arizona. I know it's a lower league, but I still think that this is a massive accomplishment that we've managed to do here, because I spent so many years since 2018. That's why my AZ Sports Guy jersey is 18. Since 2018, trying to build this channel, and I wanted that to be like, I want to cover sports, and then I learned more and more about how the business works and how I should and shouldn't act. And I've had to make a lot of changes. I've had to admit a lot of faults, a lot of stupid stuff I've said and done. It is what it is, but that's kind of what taking up a lot of my time as well. And got a new job. It's better than giving out samples at Costco. It also pays more and has more hours. So a lot of the times, I'm working nights, so I get off work and then I try to record when I can videos in the morning, and then I keep my weekends free so I can cover sports. I'm still covering, obviously, for myself, for Jacobson Sports Network. I cover arena football for Arena Football Talk. I don't want to say the team yet, but I'm trying to change my beat away from the team that I've been covering for the last couple of years. Not going to get into details on why. And then covering for C-Tray, got to do, Valley Suns and a bunch of ASU sports and all this really cool stuff. I got to be there covering the Sun Devils football all season last year. It's taken up a lot of time. It's been exhausting. Sometimes I've struggled to find time for my hobbies and friends and whatnot, but it's been rewarding and busy. And there are times that it's really hard. Let's be honest here. You can make fun of me. I don't really care. I don't have much of an ego about it. There are like the first Utah game. I sat here with pizza, crying in the club, boys, because it really makes you realize what you lost. And I said it before, and I will reiterate it again and again. I would rather have a losing hockey team, a 25-win hockey team playing in front of 8,000 people in Glendale than not having a team right now. Because there was that consistency, that thing in my life I would get excited for every year just to be disappointed by it, but the disappointment was part of it. It was an expectation, and the rare occasion when they wouldn't disappoint, it would be a pleasant surprise. And having that thing to look forward to, that thing to get ready for. When I started making content in 2018, the thing to make videos on, something to keep my nights busy that I genuinely had passion for. I miss that, and we lost a lot. A lot of good people that I know are still looking to get back where they were before, and a lot of people's lives have changed, and it bugs me. I'm a narcissist. It's about me, right? But that's a whole rant for another day. That's something that still boils my blood looking a year later on it. But I miss that. We lost a lot. We really did. But I also know that at some point I have to move on with my life. It's a wild example, but it's something that, a buddy of mine's going through something personal, and I brought it to myself to relate, and I was like, look, you need to be able to find things for yourself to be excited about, to get passionate about, to live for, right? And I told him, like, look, I'll use my wife as an example. My wife knows this. I love my wife to death. Love her to death. She annoys me, but hey, that's the sign of a healthy marriage. If she died tomorrow, it would take me time, but I would be okay. I'd be able to find something else to live for, something else to move on from. And while this is not the death of a family member, that's a little hyperbole and me trying to make a personal comparison with a friend of mine, the concept of something that means so much to me being taken away in an instant, I will eventually be okay. So, like, I am okay. There's still times it really bugs me. It also reminds me of Todd. Yeah, the puppy that I got the year I started AZ Sports Guy. This has got really sad. I'm so sorry. Always keep him by my side, though. Really regret him not being there for 1,000 subscribers. But eventually, you move past it, and while it still hurts, with time, you kind of adopt the more positive, I'm happy it happened. Looking back on, the first ever playoff game I was at in 2010, looking back again to meet Shane Doan on my birthday, looking back at that massive game for Nick Schmaltz that me and my old co-host for Desert Moon, he invited me out, and I think it was on my wife's birthday, on our anniversary. That was on one of our anniversaries. So 5 years strong, I swear. And I look back at it more, and I'm still sad sometimes, but I'm still happy because it happened and I was able to experience something I felt so much passion for. And I have my jersey collection, and I'll still wear my Howling Coyote with pride. I have so many hats that I'll wear my Coyotes hat randomly. I can't wear it at work because they want me to wear a work-related hat, but I'm probably going to start sneaking a Coyotes hat at work. And again, you look back at something that was hard to deal with, that you lost in your life, that was a massive alteration to your life, that it's pain. It's painful. This might not be the best word. I know it might be cringy, but it's a little traumatic when you think about it, and something that meant so much to you, seeing how much things have changed, how many people were affected. Again, different topic, different day, but I'm still finding things as per usual to focus my time on and be able to move forward with, because I have to do that. The team will come back eventually. I don't like thinking about the fact that when the team comes back, I will likely be in my mid-30s with a kid that's almost old enough to skate. No, we're not. The kid is not in the oven yet, but maybe one day. We're trying, but I don't like thinking about that. I don't like thinking about how when the team comes back, my nephew might be 10. I don't like thinking about that, but it's a fact of life. The sad things, the having to wait so long, the uncertainty, because until it is final, it's not final. Unfortunately, I hate that I'm using Gary Bettman terms. Until it's final, it's not final. With the Coyotes coming back, right? So, I can't sit around for 6 years hating myself and, I don't know, drinking or something. I don't know. I don't know. Like, normally when I'm sad, I just sit around and face it. And if I gotta cry, you cry and get over it. So it's like, I can't sit there and wallow in self-pity. I can't put my career on hold. The thing I've been working at for years that has been yielding some actual results the last almost 2 years now with credentials. I can't put that on hold. I can't not enjoy things. I can't do that. So this is a super long-winded answer. I am so sorry, but TLDR, the things that I'm really passionate about, like the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise that I've been a fan of since I was literally like 10. I was a fan of Sonic before I was a fan of the Coyotes, and I don't like how it's been 20 years. I don't want to think about it. Oh my god, I was like 8. Oh my god, but double down on that. Reading comic books, playing, I know these are 60 card decks, but playing Commander with my brother-in-law and with my play group, D&D with the boys that I used to work with at the Glendale Arena. I won't say the name, but the Glendale Arena. Doubling down on that, playing Marvel Rivals with the boys, getting to play as the cutest little thing, like that little trailer where it has Jeff singing the Marvel Rivals theme always makes me smile. If I need a smile, I just play that because it's cute. And you know what? Double down on the good stuff. I need to do that. At some point, like you need to be able to move on. If my wife dies, well, I'm not going to remarry, but if my wife dies, I should theoretically be able to remarry at some point, right? When Todd passed away, when we had to put Todd down, I had to eventually be okay and take care of the other dogs. Give other dogs homes as a result of having the room in the house now. You have those sad experiences, those depressing experiences, and you have to be able to, at some point, move on. So that's super long answer for that simple question. I have just been filling my life with whatever can make me happy or keep me busy and keep me progressing to the best ability, because that's what you need to do. And when the Coyotes come back, I will be ecstatic. I will be right here. Maybe I'll make an AZ Sports Guy video for the fun of it. And I am working on a couple of videos. The one I'm working at right now is Coyotes draft misses. So the people that saw that tweet, the poll the other day when I was covering the Roadrunners game, that's what I'm working on. Prepare to be depressed when I eventually get time to finish it. But just filling my time with stuff to keep me busy, keep me occupied, keep me happy, and ready to love again whenever the Coyotes come back. I had to make it cringe, boys, but there you go. Those are all the questions I got. I genuinely was expecting more negative. It wasn't, so y'all really disappointing me now. But thank you so much for watching. I was the AZ Sports Guy. That was 31 fucking minutes of recording. Wow. And I will talk to you later.